busy right now. That's why you're calling in later.
I don't need it. I can stay at home for days.
All right, folks, welcome to the October meeting of the ERINET Local Development Corporation Board of Directors. Today is October 21st, 2025. The time now is 2:03 p.m. Before we get started, I'll take a quick roll. Mark Cornell. Here. Jason Keating. Present. Jim Castle. Here. Wood Freeze. Fire. Here. Jeremy Toth. Here. Mike Breeden. Here. Nolan Skipper. Here. Absent, we have both legislators, John Mills and John Gilmore, and we are still waiting for the designation from the Erie County Public Library for our next board member. Joining us today also we have ECC from ECC, Matt Kreider, and virtually we have joining us John Mathis from Winnick. And just to designate that we do have a quorum in the room.
And I think Fred's going to join us,
Fred
right?
Norder.
Fred Norder, is he going to be on this one? In case there's a question.
I'll send it.
Okay. Potentially Fred from ECC may join us as well.
Okay. First order of business, you had an opportunity to review the minutes from our September meeting. I'd like to take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Second, Jason. Discussion? Any opposition? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Report of the chair. Just briefly, as we've been having these meetings, we are identifying areas where there are potential holdups, one of which was the Department of Transportation, which we've been having issues with. So we've spoken to the county executive briefly about having a conversation with the commissioner of the DOT, of which he plans to do. So
that happened earlier
today.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was having a regular meeting and that phone call.
Okay, well, so that happened. We're joined also by Ben Swankamp. So I'm not apprised of what that conversation was, but hopefully.
Yeah, alerting to the issue and then forwarding the various permits that are in question to see, what the holdup may be.
Okay. So more to come on that, but as things come up, we are escalating to make sure that we are making progress. And going to number 3, the executive director report.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go a little out of order on my report just because John Mathis is joining us from Winnick. I just wanted to kind of update everybody. So Elizabeth has taken a new position. So she left Winnick, August, a few months ago. And they reached out to us and they are interested, as we are, in keeping someone from the organization on our board. And so we met with the superintendent as well as Jan Mathis, who's joining us today. And he's just kind of getting an idea on the flow of our meetings and wants to see one before they make a recommendation to us who they would like to see represented on this board as well. Elizabeth has agreed to stay on through March, potentially longer. We might be able to keep her long, but we have to kind of make that discussion. But I just want everyone to know who's here. And then the John Spears, his replacement. It's my knowledge the library has not.
No, there's a search committee. I'm on it.
Oh, okay.
We had our first meeting yesterday.
Perfect.
But it's not going to happen until the spring.
Okay. So we can't replace. We'll never be able to replace John. So we can't replace the board seat of the director until that is announced. And so we'll continue to invite Dorinda or Angela Marinucci to attend our meetings. They weren't able to make it today, but just so everyone has an idea where we are with the board seats. And all of those recommendations will most likely be made. I guess they can be made anytime. Usually we do board members in the annual meeting in March. So, all right, let's do some updates. So, Connect All. The good news is we are in the final stages of the incentive proposal review. We have weekly meetings for the MIP project. Was one today, and we'll be signing, it sounds like by the end of today, early tomorrow, they should be getting back to us the final for the incentive proposal. We had a really good productive meeting on Friday and we didn't have any issues. So it sounds like we'll be signing that, which is a good process to move forward. That puts us into the GDA, the GDA process, which until you sign a GDA, you're not technically granted, but you are, because anything from that August 15th, I think the date was, that we expend will be included. The bad news is they came back to us again with a denial of the network equipment with no explanation. And this happened Friday morning prior to another meeting we had with them. I sent an email immediately. I copied you, Ben, on that. And I asked for an explanation in writing or through a meeting, and nothing came. So then we had a meeting, and I asked again on the phone during that meeting, probably in an appropriate time because it wasn't in regards to that. It didn't matter to me, all the people were on the phone. They said that they discussed it after the call. No discussion after the call happened. We had another meeting today. I asked for another explanation. I was told today that there'll be an email with an explanation coming. But it might be something we might want to bring up or search other avenues to get some answers. We do not believe that there's any reason why they should be denying it. Not to mention that they denied it the first time and then asked us to put together another proposal for us to be able to secure that funding and then deny. It's just crazy. I could go on. So anyway, that's kind of disappointing. I'm not giving up. However, that's a loss of funding for the city of Buffalo, as well as for Erie County. That's much in Lackawanna, which is much needed. And I can't see how they don't recognize that or how it shouldn't be included. If you read the grant RFQ, it should be a request for applications RFA, it should be included. So we'll keep working on that. But as of right now, we have our 5 million plus $5,088,000 for the MIP, which is great. It's covering what we need, but we really are going to still try and get that because the bill's coming due. Like next week.
I don't know if you mentioned, but what is the dollar amount of the equipment that they have been flip-flopping on?
It was about 3 million.
Another 3 million? Yeah. It's substantial.
It's substantial.
All right.
I am working, I think I've mentioned before that we formed a municipal network committee conference, I guess, of all the municipal networks in New York. And we were meeting a couple of months at a time, but now we're meeting every month. And most of these networks, if not all, have some form of Connect All MIP grant, whether it's phase 1 or the phase 4 or any in between. And we've been able to talk through a lot of the common issues that these municipal networks who are receiving this funding have, and we're working together to compile a list of concerns or and maybe suggestions so that we can work through with Connect All how we can streamline some of these processes. There is a lot of work that we're now finding out. Matt's team more because they have to do the technical side of it, but there's weekly reporting, there's weekly meetings, and then there's a million other meetings that come up that you have to go. A lot of them, in my opinion, seem like they're taking time away from the actual projects. I'm not saying they're not all important and that we're not getting things out of it, especially since we're early on in this, but we've noticed some similar patterns, and we're learning from those that are ahead of us, and we're going to try to get ahead of it and get meetings with those and Connect All that can maybe where we can work together to, like I said, streamline some of these processes. So I just wanted to mention that group is great. They've been a good resource for ErieNet, and I think it's really good to hear their similar issues, especially when it comes to make ready and permitting, the same issues that we're having. We're not alone is kind of a good thing to hear sometimes when you're in the middle of a project, especially one that's scrutinized by your own, county. So that's the Connect All. I don't like to give bad news, but again, we're not going to give up. So the real property tax, the county is working on this effort. Again, we don't lobby, so we're kind of on the sidelines, but I'm just advising. But I know that the county's efforts at this point are working with the governor's office to try and get that original law passed through the budget process. I think it's called Article 17. It's either 7 or 17. I don't remember the number, but, that's where we're at. Bob Murray and, the county team worked to put together, some changes in the language. But it's not much. It's basically, we're asking for exemption for Erie County real property tax on our system. And I'll give you an update when we hear, but that was due like this month and they're working through that. NFTA, we have good news on that side. If you guys recall, the Bailey Avenue project, I've talked about it a few times. NFTA has given us a verbal commitment that they will be utilizing the ErieNet fiber for that project. So there's a great few things that come out as a revenue stream that we, need and like, but also it shows why ErieNet exists is now coming, we're seeing real results. And this partnership through public, projects is what we envisioned. I'm sure those of you who were here earlier than me envisioned. That's exactly what this is. There's 16 stations. 13 stations. And we've worked through the design. We have the verbal commitment. We're already to the point where they're asking us for contracts and IRUs because they want to get moving forward. It's a later build. It's 27, I think, is when we would do the build. But because of their timeline in terms of the project requirements on the Bailey Avenue side, it is a federal grant. They need some of those things in place. So that's very good news. I'm actually going to be attending a conference, the ITA conference in November, and doing a dual presentation with the representation from NFTA to talk about the project. And the last time I did a presentation, that's when the NFTA found us in this project. And so, it goes to show that the more we get out there, the more people understand our project and want to be a part of it. So anyway, that's super good news. And then I already did this one. So Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. We talked about the DOT permits. We are getting them back. And as we said, the county exec was prioritizing ones that we've been waiting longer for and would like to see back sooner. And I think, that's all improving. The turnarounds are improving. Related to that, though, is we got our bids back, our proposals back for professional engineering services for state and railroad permits that require PE stamp or land surveyor seal. And so we had and we still do have an engineering firm doing that for us, DDS. But in addition to DDS, we want to add both Aerosmith and Colliers. So now we'll have a pool of 3 firms to award permitting work to. That'll just help us expedite and maintain our aggressive schedule. This is mainly for the new MIP. We've identified 146 permits that we need for the MIP project. The good news is they're smaller segments, so hopefully they get processed faster. They're not all DOT. Majority of them are city streets, city street permits. The 2 firms we're recommending, what really distinguished them was they had extensive broadband design experience, so they understand what we're trying to build, and they have extensive DOT and Region 5 DOT experience with permitting people, and so particularly Colliers. So that's our strategy moving forward, is we're going to move any of our remaining DOT permits to them and get those in the queue immediately. So contracts will go out later this week, assuming you all do the resolution.
Norm, have you worked with those firms in the city?
Colliers.
Colliers, I mentioned you have. I haven't heard of Aerosmith, but
Aerosmith specializes in utility work. So they work with a lot of the green lights of the world,
okay.
ISPs, and building out infrastructure. Including that whole engineering group to help with that. So, and their pricing was competitive. Good. Make Ready continues to move forward. Each week we release more Make Ready for construction. And what's resulted from that is we now have 70 miles of fiber built. That's 32, a little bit more than 31 and a half miles since this time last month. So we're up to 70, and there's another 21 miles of fiber construction underway as we speak. And in addition to that, we have released 10 miles of the fiber optic messenger cable, what we call strand cable. And that gets us in front of the fiber installation. It'll help expedite the fiber installation because that supporting messenger cable will already be up on the pole. So it'll just make the install go that much faster. So we had great weather in September and October. Good fiber hanging weather. We're hopeful that November and December are gonna be good weather months as well. And yes.
So I was just looking at last month's, and you predicted 25 additional miles of fiber.
Yeah.
Which you got,
We had 31, yeah.
so I need predictions that we can hold you to for this next one.
As you know.
He's got his fantasy team.
As you know. My predictions have not been that accurate.
Well, they were last month.
Yeah. No, we think, we're gonna be, I'd like to be able to tell you next month that I think we will be over the 100-mile number. And by year end, we want to be even further along. Now, we're also in hurricane season, so as long as no debilitating storms at Carolinas and take our utility crews away for FEMA, which has.
Oh.
I mean, for the record,
Yeah.
the tropical storm Melissa just formed,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's
Oh,
a
great.
good thing or a bad thing, but it seemed appropriate for my
So it's not
first.
just our weather.
Landed in
I hear it's moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving out.
That's moving north.
Just moving north into the city, so I don't know if that's a bad thing. Isn't it funny that it's formed tonight?
Matt, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
So on the permits, again, just comparing last month. So last month, we were talking about 70 permits with DOT and 52 approved.
They have 63 approved now.
That number fluctuates.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because
why.
for every permit, it's almost two pieces. There's a make-ready permit, but then there's a fiber optic construction permit that follows.
Okay.
And so I think sometimes we drop the make-ready permit because we've already done that.
Are both being problematic with DOT, or is it largely the
It's
second?
largely the make-ready.
Make ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once that clears, it's pretty straightforward.
The second thing is not such a leap.
They go together.
Okay, all right. Okay, that makes sense, thank you.
And I mean, I've had a lot of conversation with other entities around the state, and DOT seems to be their biggest problem as well, except our region seems to be exceptionally slower, which is interesting. So
Region
brought
5
that up.
readily admits they're understaffed in the permitting office. So we're encouraging them to pick up some new people.
These other municipal, are they counties or are they,
Most of them are counties, but not all,
so it's not like their network are they significantly smaller in terms of?
Some of them are
miles?
larger, some of them are smaller.
And DOT's faster for them than they are for us.
They're not great, but typically they are not as long as ours.
Next to downstate, Region 5 is the most urban DOT region. And so there's some complexities with traffic safety and maintenance and protection, of traffic plans. They're very anal about their traffic control plans. And so they're getting a lot of review with comments that get returned to us, we respond, and there's been this ping pong back and forth. And we've actually had some training seminars with DOT to streamline that, and that's gotten better.
So it's not.
It's not so much my team, it's the
Yeah,
PEs.
but I guess the difference between counties, I was just thinking in terms of mileage, roughly maybe the same,
Yeah.
but it's the complexity of the
I
miles
think so.
in Erie County.
I think DOT has Region 5 has a different process. They tend to have a phase. There's like 4 phases you have to go through to get your permit approved. And if you get jammed up on phase 2, they don't even think about 3, 4, and 5. And whereas it's different than our experience in some of the, the southern tier and North Country regions.
The good news is the RFP that you have on as an agenda or as a resolution. As Matt mentioned earlier, one of the considerations that we had was more extensive experience with the DOT process, and we're bringing that in, which should help, especially on the MIP part, which is obviously more time sensitive, even more than our original 400 miles. So we're trying to stay ahead of the issue-ish.
Quickly on the managed network services, the NetSync agreement. We have a signed agreement now with ErieNet and NetSync. The equipment, the rest of the core equipment, Mike, for RAF Building and Fire Training Academy arrives in November. So we're going to be seeing our first invoice coming in November. So it'd be good to get our county IRU and ErieNet settled before we send you a bill.
Right, we have a meeting to finalize that tomorrow.
And, but that's going along well. We do need Mark Miles' attention.
He's on vacation, he'll be back on Thursday.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, he's in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Until the hurricane,
Hopefully still on the
And-
boat.
until the hurricane
And-
keeps them.
Yeah.
It isn't a schedule issue yet, but we
Right.
want to get, obviously, we want his network requirements communicated correctly
Yep.
for the design team. And then the Connect All, we talked about that already. We have basically between now and the end of the year to wrap up the GDA. And so we can incur expenses, we can't submit a payment application until we get that GDA signed. And then we have a milestone right on its heels to submit a bill for 25% reimbursement. So that hopefully will get us some cash flow. Get that bill into Connect All in January, hopefully we see payment in February, and we get some cash flow going forward in March. And then we have a second milestone in April. 25%, 4 times to finish the project end of year. We have a resolution today to extend all of our ErieNet contractors for professional services, all the make-ready contractors, all the make-ready construction, the CLW contract. So we have a kind of a, what does Andrew call it, an omnibus resolution saying that all of these contractors are we're going to extend their contracts for the MIP project. We don't want to take the 3 months, 4 months to go through procurement and new contracts to get, we have to move fast, so.
The other piece of that too is that there's a Department of Labor increase in prevailing wage for these particular projects. And right now, we have an exemption based off of when we solicited for these contractors from having to follow that increase, which is, it's significant. What was the increase percentage?
It went from like $38 an hour to, it created a new broadband technician rate, and it took our prior journeyman rate from $38 to $71. And
Yeah.
then there's benefits and or fringe overhead that they apply on top of that.
It's unbelievable.
It would, it would be at least $500,000 hit. And so we said, if we have to do that, so be it, but we'll want to amend our grant application for the additional costs. But anyways, the state agreed with our attorney interpretation that since we solicited before July 1st, the old titles prevail for our contracts.
But why would anybody continue to work for Hearing Net if they can work for somebody else?
Because they're under contract.
They're under contract,
And
so I want to extend it. Plus the entire state is allowing, they're going off of their solicitation of the project. So most of the people who are working broadband are working for one of the MIP projects, and they're all paying the same rate. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a broadband technician, you would love to get that better rate. But a lot of the contracting companies, they don't want to incur the extra labor. So again, if it's new work and it's a new contract, we have to honor that. All our work, and another reason why we want to extend these contracts to MIP, because otherwise the prevailing wage will come into play.
Yeah, and these are all pre-approved, make-ready contractors anyway that we have to pick from a pool.
Are we extending them?
Out to the end of next year.
End of 26?
Yeah, which would complete the MIP. So.
And complete hearing at the same time.
Could they deny, back out,
Can we,
sign up, could they not sign up to an extension?
I don't think so, because they've all been pestering us for more work, so
So we don't
I
have to
think
feel
we're good.
that
But
anyone might.
I suppose they could balk. That's why we want 6 make-ready contractors and not 2. Yeah, you gave me something else to worry about.
Sorry. In my line of work, I know more money.
Sales continue to go out, and it's mainly a lot of education at this point as to what ERINET is and what we're about, and introduce that we're an option for folks. Still waiting to hear back on Tonawanda. I believe they didn't get us into the 2026 fiscal year, so it's probably going to be a 27 project for us. NFPA also lining up. We have some good leads. Jamie Starks, who's our overall carrier sales exec for ECC. We're not quite ready to publicly announce who these providers are, but 1 and 2 are particularly interested in our infrastructure, both for targeted areas, but also globally. So we're excited to develop that. So more to come on those.
All right. I think we've covered it. Does anyone have any questions before we jump in? I mean, for us?
Yeah, I think, not too long ago, I don't know if it was Mr. Keating or Mr. Toth, but someone requested to have, like an RFP analysis before the board meeting, before voting on it. Is that possible? Or
We did send one out. I think Courtney sent it out on Friday.
send it Friday?
And all of the submissions were in that SharePoint folder.
Oh, the SharePoint folder. I saw you share something with me. And I wasn't sure if it was like a scam or
Yeah,
some
that
sort
was
of
me.
spam or fire risk. Man, he yells at me.
I yell at you all.
Yeah, no, sometimes they give you reasons to.
So remember last meeting, if everyone was here, I can't remember, I think everyone was, that we were gonna try the SharePoint,
Okay.
so that we're not printing out 7 trees every,
Streams of paper.
yeah. So,
So the scoring rubric and all that stuff is in there.
it's in there for you to take a look at, yeah.
But I did send it with the email on Friday with the board package.
Yeah.
But then in the shared folder is all the submissions that from everybody's.
So you got the rubric on Friday, yeah.
Mm.
All right.
Thank you.
We live in constant fear. We do.
And there's another,
Cyber attacks.
yeah,
Well, you should, actually.
Yeah.
Guy next to me.
You had a
just had his
cyber,
whole,
you had a
desktop,
cyber
just lost his whole
attack.
desktop.
The county had a
You
cyber
should be
attack,
very
right?
wary about
We always
clicking
have
anything
cyber.
in an
We
email.
always, there's always an attempt. for sure.
Always.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
2 or 3 emails a day I get from various people saying various things. And they all sound legit. But really, at this point, I'm missing actual stuff.
Right, you're
I'm
scared.
just,
Yeah.
like, what is, I'm not opening a folder. I'm already sharing a folder with me.
I was gonna say, so that's why you're not answering any emails.
Yeah.
Zero emails.
Oh, right, yeah,
You can only do face emails from this point.
Jeremy wants faxes.
Yeah, so go
Real
back.
quick, real quick
So what should
summary
I do?
is we got 7 proposals.
Okay.
We scored all 7. The scoring criteria was 30% cost, 40% experience and performance, 5% WBE utilization, and schedule. And 3 really rose to the top, both for competitive pricing, but also having the state permitting experience. So that's how the scoring fell out. We wanted to have more than one award. We wanted to have a pool.
She's sharing her screen. She's at that meeting. Okay.
You gonna pull it up?
Mhm.
And we had a meeting with the county DPW just to talk about permitting and processes, and they also said that they have worked with Colliers as well
Yeah.
and had no issues.
Yeah.
So, do you find that, Nolan, like Colliers is all
Well, I
right?
used to work there, so.
Oh, wow, look at that.
I could go either way.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys.
No, they're-
We'll see how you vote.
And they do have some former DOT.
Okay, we like that, yeah.
Sorry, it's not that big.
I mean, if we were to go back in day one and when we did the original RFP for the engineers, that might have been like my first meeting, honestly. I think that's what we did. And we would wish we could go back and say, do you have former employees from DOT?
So yeah, that's the scoring matrix.
You're recommending 3 out of the 7?
That's
So
right.
what's the gap between 3 and 4? Why not recommend 4?
Just, I don't want to waste that 4th firm's time if we're not going to really give them anything sizable.
Again, if we were to go back to day one, we probably should have done that. Have multiple.
If you're on the other side of that in the company, I would have been, you want more work, you'd rather, you don't want to be diluted where you're getting nothing, it's not worth your time.
And
Better staff,
DDS,
larger dollars.
DDS we're including in the pool as we go forward, but DDS already has budget under their current contract, and they need just to finish that work up. And most of this new MIP work will go to Aerosmith and Colliers. But we wanted to reserve the right to bring DDS in if we're in a schedule crunch.
DDS has put a lot of time, I feel like ECC has put a lot of time and effort, and the DOT in getting DDS to the
Yeah,
point that
their
they are
learning-
now to
Their
be able
learning
to do the
curve
work.
has improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went through a learning curve.
Good for them to have competition too, you don't want to be the only game in town.
Yeah. They also sharpened their pencils, which was good.
Good.
Oh, one last thing on the evaluation is, I evaluation, but we also have to submit to Connect All a procurement checklist. They check the boxes.
And we do check their boxes, so we should be fine.
Good deal, thank you, and thank you for adding us to the shared drive, I appreciate that. So just moving along into our 4th agenda item, which is committee reports. We have 2 committees meet today, one of which was the Personnel Committee, and the other was the Audit and Finance Committee. So we'll start with the Audit and Finance Committee first. We'll hear from the Chair of that committee, Mark Cornell.
Yeah, so we met to finalize the 26 budget and subsequent out years based on the sort of ADO required structure. So the only question I have is, we are going to be discussing the budget in a little bit. Do we want to combine these? conversations or?
Yeah,
Trump. Okay. So basically, the big difference between the, budget that, the board of directors saw, last meeting and this one was, specifically the inclusion of the MIP, grant, proceeds, both shown as the, revenues and expenses, and that's where you can see that specifically under the federal subsidy grants line of 1.3 million for 2025 and the $3.8 million in 2026. And that would be matched where you would see the construction capital in progress, the capital asset outlay, basically. Those numbers have increased accordingly by the 1.3 and 3.8 million. This is now shown as a federal subsidy and grant because these are, although it is coming from the state, these are federal ARPA dollars that are based out of the standard broadband ARPA category, meaning that ERINET is a sub-recipient of a federal award, and that we are then subsequently responsible for making sure that we expend those dollars before the end of 2026. It's also going to mean that ERINET is going to be subject to the single audit requirements coming up between 25 and 26, depending upon, whether we in fact do spend more than what $750, I believe is the threshold. So if we do spend more than that in 25, we would be subject to that in 25. If not, we wouldn't be in 25 and then in 26.
the only audit outside of our regular annual audit we'd have to do is for Connect All, because they require.
Yeah.
And we would be required to do one for them.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some regular reporting requirements because on the county's behalf, I do the quarterly SLFRF reporting to the Treasury, and the state is going to need to do that regarding these grants as well. So it'll probably be relatively simple as just showing actual expenses on a quarterly basis and submitting those, so then they can submit those expenses to Treasury. But we will have to keep a relatively robust audit trail for that, because all of this will be audited by the feds at some point, maybe not today or tomorrow, but probably within the next 10 years. And they will want all the, the receipts and all the date stamps, proving that expenditures occurred when we say they occurred. Really though, with this budget, sort of what we're seeing is that it's still pretty straightforward, at least on, for what we're seeing for 25 and 26. Because we are still in the middle of what is basically a construction year. We're not really a fully functioning operating organization. We don't have the reoccurring revenues, we have the promise of reoccurring revenues, but the other good news is we really don't have a whole lot of reoccurring expenses yet. You can really see that transition between 26 and 27, where specifically on the wider view of the budget, not the truncated ADO form, but the wider, you see a lot more detail in supplies and materials, where much of those increased expenses are going to be related to, reoccurring leases and fees and maintenance costs and materials and things like that real functioning service provider organizations have to deal with. That's what our future is going to look like. So really, I think for the most part, for 25 and 26, we look pretty good. Obviously, the MIP grant made a pretty big difference in that there were a lot of costs that we expected to bear as an organization and utilize ARPA funds for. We are now able to use the MIP grant, so that took us from projecting probably our first initial potential shortfall that we had to deal with and maybe make accommodations for in '26, where we're likely not even gonna hit that shortfall. We're gonna, bounce about even, and then if we're able to sell on our promise, we're gonna probably realize, realistic reoccurring revenues in the, what do we have here? Give or take 3 to 4 million to 5 million and grow from there. I would expect after this year's budget, that's when these budgets are gonna get more difficult, because we're gonna have to really crunch numbers on the reoccurring revenue side, and make sure those are realistic. Because that's gonna be the roadmap for our expenses and what we're gonna do. But for now, we're still working on the, the project itself and the promise that comes from it. So, with that, certainly can entertain, any questions anyone would have, but then, we subsequently are looking for, the approval of the full board. The audit, committee did do its own approval to recommend, this budget to the full board. And be able to then submit that to the ABO by the requirement at the end of the month.
Any questions?
So let me just say, because our committee ties into the budget. So we met today to, number one, go over the annual reviews for both the executive director, Melissa Hardman, and the review of Courtney Italia as well. And as a result of our committee meeting today, which is already established in the budget, we're recommending a 6% increase, which correlates to an analysis done by Mr. Cornell about what it would look like for a step increase that flexing like Howard County does their increases on top of a COLA increase. So with that, we feel that 6% is an appropriate amount for an increase this year. Additionally, that is in the budget, but also we should identify that in the budget it's 8% increase to give us some wiggle room if there is an inflation in healthcare costs or anything like that. But our 6% is what we're established for salaries.
As of January 1, 2026.
I would just add a couple comments just for everyone's awareness and, full transparency that, we did discuss this at length, and, we've had discussion each year that we don't have revenue yet. So we want to be careful of not giving, raises that appear to be overly genuine or generous when we don't yet have that revenue stream. But we felt that, when you look at the body of work that we do every month, we're reviewing every month, realizing we have a staff of 2 people that are essentially doing this with a lot of consultants helping. But, we essentially have 2 people and we're still kind of in the startup mode, really, we're still, a startup business, and, we're at a critical time where we can't, we don't want to, and we can't afford to lose staff. When you have 2 staff, you lose 1 person, you're losing 50% of your staff. So it is a pretty critical time. We're very pleased with the work that's been done by the staff, and we feel that while 6% may at first blush look like, wow, you get 6% when the county and city get 3%. But when you really look at it, we're looking at an actual dollar amount of $13,000, $14,000, and it's really not a significant lift, but it's important if it's a recognition of the work being done, and good work being done. There's a lot of things that are outside the control of us as a board, of the staff. We're dealing with outside municipalities, outside government agencies. We spent time talking today about NFPA and DOT. It's hard to quantify what that means in terms of an annual performance, but we're making progress, we're doing good things, and we felt that the staff should be recognized for the good work they're doing. And regardless regardless of what, a percentage may look like when it hits the Buffalo News. The reality is that this is within the budget we've set. It's not extravagant. And I think it's indicative of the nature of the work and the ever-evolving landscape that we're studying.
And then also, we should note that with the MIP grant, there is a space in the budget that we can extract from that grant of
75,000 for administrative costs.
So there is taking a little bit of weight off of the trip fee. That's specific. So, any more questions? If not, then the budget specifically, I would take a motion to adopt the proposed budget.
Make that motion.
Renell, now second. Second. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone abstaining in opposition? Motion carries. With that, we'll go right into our pretty lengthy first resolution here. Take a drink first. All right. Resolution 2025-2028. Resolution of the Erie Local Development Corporation authorizing the expenditure of funds not to exceed $750,000. Furtherance of certain professional engineering services to be rendered on behalf of ERIENet, the negotiation and execution of agreements to engage Aerosmith and Collier's Engineering and Design Architecture Landscape to provide additional engineering services to the corporation in an amount not to exceed the authorized expenditure. And 3, authorize the negotiation and execution amendment to the agreement between the corporation and EES companies to engage EES to provide the additional engineering services in an amount not to exceed the expenditure. So this is the permitting that we talked about for the MIP grant for Collier, Aerosmith, and EES. I'll take a motion. Any further discussion on this resolution? Any questions? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, our second resolution for the day is Resolution 2025-29. Resolution of the Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of a certain amendment to the agreements by and between the corporation and its existing providers with respect to incorporating certain requirements related to the municipal infrastructure program received by the corporation as more particularly described herein. I'll take a motion. Thank you, Dan. Second?
Will you explain?
What are you doing? This is really hard for you, I would assume.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's.
You're clicking out.
Yeah, we're.
Timing is off.
Who was the second on that? Mark?
I was the second.
I don't even know. I felt like you weren't even here. I was like, he must. Jeremy cut his vocal cords or something.
He's stabbing me over here.
For County Attorney Toth, Matt, you or Melissa, you want to just describe this one briefly?
Don't worry, Adam.
Yeah, so I did touch on it in my report. This is where we want to authorize and extend all our current contractors in an omnibus fashion. So
Through the end of 2026.
through the end of 2026.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions?
I was just stunned.
Their speeches language, not mine.
All right, last one for the day, 2025-30, resolution to the Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of certain amendments to an agreement between the corporation and ECC Technologies for the provision of additional services ancillary to that certain municipal infrastructure program in an amount not to exceed $658,854, and to extend the term of the agreement as more particularly described here. I'll take a motion. Thanks.
That was like interesting.
Sounds like the best for the last, you know?
All right, second, please.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Assuming we're extending this to the end of 2026 as well.
And to include the MIP work.
Yeah.
Right, but just the date is.
Yep, 26, yep. 12/26.
All right, any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition, any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
motion to adjourn.
Motion. All right.
Second, Van Castle, all in favor? Our next meeting is November 18th, 2025, 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Again,